Welcome to your doom. Shut it and get over here. Massive uppercut!
Hello and welcome to the JabJab Show. Today's episode I will be reviewing Star Trek Beyond. Now, this film is directed by Justin Lin, starring Chris Pine, Zachary Quinto, Carl Urban, Simon Pegg, Anton Yelchin, Zoe Saldana and Idris Elba. Now, the story is basically the events take place about 3 years after the events in Star Trek Into Darkness, and the Captain Kirk and the crew are now on this mission, big long mission, about 3 years into it, like I say, and he's getting a little bored with it all the routine and what have you, and he's also questioning himself on certain things, and they go through this mission and they get attacked by this ferocious alien species attacking the ship and whatever. It causes them to having to crash land on this faraway planet in uncharted territory, and they are having to fend for themselves and trying to survive and all the rest of it. And they come across this bad guy who's got a lot of hatred, deep hatred for the USS Enterprise. Now, I've always been a Star Wars fan. I get that out of the way now. Anyone who knows me probably know this. A huge Star Wars fan, and it'll never let it go. This love I have for it. I watched the TV show of Star Trek back as a kid, not religiously, and I didn't really give it enough attention or anything, the Star Trek thing. Obviously, knew who the main characters are and what have you, but I think for me, by comparison, the Star Trek just seemed a little too slow and a bit ponderous or something. I don't know, compared to Star Wars, which is very exciting and all the rest of it for me. But having said that, I do like the reboot, what they've done since they've rebooted this new series of Star Trek films back in 2009. You could say, I don't know, because like I say, I don't have the background of someone who's got a ton of videos on Star Trek and whatever, and who knows all the alien languages and things like that. I don't have all that, so maybe it's a little too. They made these films too accessible for everyone, because I remember reading some articles back in the day when J.J. Abrams was coming out with the first film in this series, saying he wants to obviously have the Star Trek fans, but also wants to make it accessible enough for people like me and other people who aren't well versed in the universe, to get to enjoyment of the thing, because it seems to be, because there's been so many series and so many merchandise and all the rest of it, and it seemed to be like, if you're jumping in the middle, you wouldn't know where to go and stuff. It seemed a bit too kind of like closed off. I don't know, but yeah, I like this reboot, and I like this film, this Star Trek Beyond. What they did with the first film, I felt, was cast it really well. Everyone plays off really well. Again, because with our knowledge, you can argue William Shatner against, this and that person. I get all that. But for me, they cast really well. And, the interplay they had in the first two films, obviously continues with this film, I feel. And also because they're getting stranded on this distant planet, and they're putting certain characters with other characters that they don't necessarily get on with, as well as, other characters, you know what I mean? It's kind of interesting, to watch things play out with the contrasting personalities and whatever. The action is good. The action, stunt work, the choreography, everything's good. The set pieces, some of them really fucking good. And it's it's funny as well. You got Simon Pegg, who plays Scotty, the technician guy. He co-wrote it. There's a lot of humour in there. It's all organic humour. Comes across from the situation they're in and so on. There's none of I say, kind of stand-up moments. And it doesn't need to be, I think it'll take people out of the film to was. But the way they shout science at each other in times of peril, I like that a lot. It'll probably help if you're a scientist who know what they're actually talking about. I'm guessing the science is kind of based in truth, and they're making it convincing anyway. The action there is convincing enough to think, yeah, this makes sense, because they sound so sure of themselves and all that, which is good. So Chris Pine, like all the other actors, play really well. And he's Captain Kirk in this film's got a birthday coming up. You don't want to make too much of a fuss about it because, like I said before, he's kind of questioning his worth and all the rest of it. And kind of just see what's really there for him. There's a line at some point where he's talking to Bones about he's going to be 1 year older, all the rest of it, and you don't want to make a big deal about it because he says along the lines of I'll be older than my dad was, and it kind of it does resonate with me personally. I can relate to that. So there's a lot of high stakes in this film. I mean, I liked how they honoured Leonard Nimoy in this film. Obviously, he's a massive deal in the Star Trek universe. I just felt it nice how they honoured that. They had a little side story with Zachary Quinto, who's obviously Mr. Spock, how they kind of dealt with all that. And also Anton Yelchin, he unfortunately died during, I guess it's post-production. The film had been shot, trailers were out and so on. They put for Anton in the credits, which was nice, which I thought they would do, to be honest. There's also a bit towards the end where certain characters says something and they linger on Anton Yelchin a bit more. I don't know, because like I say, the timing of his unfortunate death, I don't know how much tinkering they could have done to honour him within the main film. That's the following film. I'm guessing there's going to be another one. Will do something. I don't, obviously we don't know yet, but yeah, I liked how they did that. Okay, this might rankle with a lot of Star Trek fans or whatever, and I completely agree if it does. But I've been a Beastie Boys fan for years, seriously, and they use one of their tracks in a certain situation, and given the context and the song they use and all that, I got a big kick out of it. It makes sense within the film for me. I can see if people say, "Nah, fuck that," it doesn't belong anywhere near a Star Trek film. I can understand if it completely out of place. I mean, in some ways, it'd be like using a Beastie Boys track or any music in a Star Wars film that isn't John Williams, or kind of like the Mos Eisley, the Figuring Dan kind of thing going on. If they use like an actual song, that people recognise, even at the credits in the Star Wars film, it would be like sacrilege or something. But no, I really got a kick out of the Beastie Boys track in there. The other thing I would say about this film, Idris Elba plays the villain, and it didn't really resonate as strongly as I thought it would do, to be honest. I don't know. I don't know the lore of Star Trek as much as many other people who are going to watch this film, so maybe his character, he might be explained a little bit more why he hates the Enterprise so much. He does explain it in his film, don't get me wrong, but there might be some episode from back in the day or something which kind of has his character in there, and you get more of an understanding. I don't know. Some comment below if you're a hardcore Trek fan. But for what it is, I don't know. It just seems like, let's have a villain, that'll do kind of thing. So all in all, this is an entertaining film. I like the characters, I like the story. In the main, I like the high stakes and all the rest of it. The cast really well. I mean, this reboot has been a success, for me anyway. So I was just wondering, because of how J.J. Abrams rebooted the Star Trek films to kind of be more accessible and whatever, is there any Star Trek fans out there who didn't really fuss with Star Wars, for one reason or another? But since The Force Awakens, because, there's an argument, really, that Force Awakens does thread that balance quite well with the old and the new. The old Star Wars and mix it with new. Has it made it more accessible to Star Trek fans? If you're the opposite of me, so to speak, has The Force Awakens kind of like switched you on more to Star Wars? I mean, you might always be a Star Trek fan at heart, but, as J.J. Abrams, his treatment of Star Wars, has it done that for you? Like Star Trek, like what he's done with Star Trek, that's done for me. If you understand, I don't know. Let me know down below in the comment section down there. I'm not talking about a rude bit. I'm pointing at the comment section. So like, subscribe, comment. and all the rest of it, and tell your friends and everything. In the words of the new Cyrus, send the word.
9, 8, 7, 6,